the economic freedom fighters leaders Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu find themselves the focus of the State Capture Commission investigators. It's been reported that the commission has requested the bank records of Malema and Shivambu after whistleblowers provided information relating to the state contracts and the VBS Mutual Bank Heist. Well, joining us now via Skype is Business Day political editor Genevieve Quintal to take us through some of what has come out of that article. Let's talk to her now via Skype. Genevieve, thank you very much for making time to talk to us this afternoon. So, based on that article that you must have read in the front page of the Sunday Times, what is the possible justification for the commission to call for these records of Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu?
Well, Cody, it seems that this does seem to be linked to VBS and contracts within the Limpopo government, from what the Sunday Times story is saying. I know Julius Malema responded to the Sunday Times saying no one's implicated him in any testimony of the commission, so he doesn't understand why the commission's coming after him. But it could be that someone has lodged a complaint to the commission and they are looking into that. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to have come already to testify in person to the commission for them to start looking into these issues.
Now, the issue here, Genevieve, I almost can anticipate the reaction from the leaders of the economic freedom fighters. Already you're talking about Julius Malema saying, but he doesn't understand because no one has implicated him at the State Capture Commission. Can the commission afford not to reveal the source of their information, which then prompted the commission to subpoena this information from the banks? Can the commission hide or say this is a whistleblower and their identities need to be protected?
Well, I guess probably it all depends on what agreement they've come to with the whistleblower. We've seen the State Capture Commission do testimony where you're only hearing the voice of a witness. They don't identify them. They call them Mr. X or Mr. A or whatever. So that is a possibility. But they will eventually, I would think, that we will hear, okay, we got a complaint, we have a witness, and this is related to these issues. Whether we'll know exactly who the whistleblower is, I'm not quite sure at this stage.
Yeah, and Genevieve, talking about reaction from the EFF leaders, at least we've got reaction from Floyd Shivambu, whom we did try to request an interview with, just as a way of telling the viewers that we did try to reach out to them. This is what he writes on Twitter today, that now that the Zondo and the handled administrators of the State Capture Commission are failing to pin down the Guptas, they're using the commission to fight political battles of Jamnandas. We know that is in reference to the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, and the white capitalist establishment. Now, we will expose their misguided political agenda. And then he goes on to say, disgusting, exclamation mark. That kind of reaction, Genevieve, is it in stark contrast to what Julius Malema said on this channel on Thursday when he said, I will go to that commission if perhaps I am asked to do so. In fact, I'll go there without lawyers even.
I guess, you could say, maybe it's not in contrast. Maybe he's saying, well, I'll go to the commission. And the EFF has said this, Julius himself has said this a few times. Look at my bank statements, come look at this. Fine, they keep saying do it, but then come forward and show us the proof you have then that this is a orchestrated attack against you. This is the modus operandi lately in politics, well, not lately, in the last decade or so, that people blame allegations of wrongdoing on a political smear campaign. Well, if that's the case, if someone has proof, then come with your proof. Show us that this is the smear campaign. I can prove to you. And this is what the commission must actually show us. If they have the bank accounts, and we always talk about follow the money, come show us then, yes, it's correct. We can see on the bank account this is what happened. Or Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu must come and say, no, this is not the case. Here's our proof that this is a political attack.
Yeah. Genevieve, perhaps as a final question to you, the State Capture Commission of Inquiry has seen the kind of attacks that I don't think that commission has seen since its formation, in particular from the former president, Jacob Zuma, saying that commission is obsessed with him. Do you expect more political vitriol directed towards that commission and its work, and perhaps even the commission chairperson, as already done by the former president, Jacob Zuma?
Absolutely, Colin. We're going to see, the commission is having to wrap up in the next few months. I think they have till March next year. Things are really heating up. The subpoena has been issued for the former president. We're definitely going to see more and more of this, and probably at a more accelerated rate, especially as we get closer to when the former president has to come testify, which is early next month.
Yeah. Perhaps let me squeeze this in. If indeed the Commission of Inquiry gets this information, the bank records of Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu, and, it is something that it can't be ignored, for lack of a better word. It's something that really causes these leaders to be forced by the commission to answer to. Okay? My question to you is, this party has said that it is a party that is completely opposed to corruption. Hence, we saw the action that they took in Parliament during the last administration of Jacob Zuma, where they called for him to pay back the money. And where did he get the money? He went to VBS and got the money. The bottom line is that the EFF stood firm, and they achieved their goal of making Jacob Zuma pay back the money from VBS. But here is what many will say is evidence that the EFF leadership has not exactly lived up to what their political mantra is, and that is that of being against corruption. Political fortunes at the polls. We're going to local government next year.
Well, I guess it all depends on their followers, their supporters, their members. They could carry on with the same rhetoric that this is all political smears. They could go on about that the state apparatus has been used to make up information. There's so many things that can happen. But, we've also seen there are some very die-hard members and supporters of the EFF, and I'm not quite sure at this stage what kind of effect it would have in next year's elections. I guess it also depends on what exactly comes out by the time next year's elections happen. We're looking at the NPA, who has already started, obviously, arrests and convictions, etc., on VBS. The Commission's finishing its work in March. So I guess that's something that we'll have to see as we get conclusions to these investigations into the Commission.
Genevieve Quintal, thank you very much for making the time to speak to us this afternoon on Newsfeed. She is the political editor at one of our daily newspapers, the Business Day.